Hello and welcome to the advanced configuration video for Trend Tracker. I think probably the thing that people get the most excited about when they learn about Trend Tracker is its ability to alert you when certain conditions are met. So let's start by clicking to create an alert. And I'm going to go down here to MMTT, that's the Trend Tracker. It doesn't really matter when you select this what the settings are. The alerts all work the same regardless of what the settings are. So once you've selected that, you get a second drop down full of a bunch of things. Everything below this horizontal line here, this is the standard triggers that you get that come with TradingView in general. But everything above this line, these are the custom alerts for Trend Tracker. And so the first thing you see here are break alerts. So that's when trend has been going in one direction and the tracker has determined that you've made a break in the opposite direction. So in this case, a bear break would mean that you were in an uptrend and now you've broken that trend and you're going down. And the key to understanding when these alerts fire is in what the label says on the Trend Tracker. So when a bear break is happening, what you're going to see on the label is it'll say trend change bear. And when you're getting a bull break, it'll say trend change bull. And I'll show you in a moment how those work and what they are and how you would expect that. The other ones are for the first high or low that it detects. That's the first high or low since the trend was changed, right? So if you're in a downtrend and you're setting lower highs and lower lows, and then suddenly you set your first high or low, indicating that there might be a trend change occurring, that's when that alert would fire. And high or low, this one down here, would fire anytime it detects a high or low, anytime, regardless of whether it's the first one or not. And then the opposite is true for the first lower high and the lower high. So again, when you're trying to figure out, well, which alert am I looking for? Which one should I be trying? You need to look at the labels because they'll tell you what's happening. So let's go through an example of that. I'm not going to create any right now. So I'm actually going to use the this ability here to jump back in time. And we'll go to the beginning of this day with Tesla. And I'm actually going to just enlarge this chart so you can see it better. Okay, so with the pre-market action that happened over here on the left in orange, it's detected a trend that's megaphone. And really megaphone just means that it's setting higher highs and lower lows at the same time. And it doesn't actually have a defined trend. It's not sure what's going on yet. So price needs to develop a little bit more for it to understand what's happening. So I'm going to just tick through this and see what happens. And at some point here, it will find a low. There, it found a low. So it's still in a megaphone because you were ranging in here and then you set a high. Now you set a low. And so it's still trying to figure out what's the direction that this price is going to go on this day. And there, okay. So at this point now it's set a low, a high, a lower low, and a lower high. And those four things together mean you're in a downtrend. And so at this point now, it's expecting that you're going to find a lower low. That's why it says scouting a lower low, because you just set the lower high. Now it's going to look for a lower low. And it actually already drew a trade on the chart here. And if you look at this configuration screen at the bottom under trade setups, you see I've selected smart. That's why it chose to display this, because what smart really means, and you can hover over this info box here to see, is that it's going to draw a trade on the chart based on the trend. So the trend has been defined as a downtrend, and so it's going to be looking for lower high trades when it's in that trend. Okay, so moving forward, what I'm really interested in seeing is a trend change because I want to show you when alerts would fire. Okay, so it set a lower high and now it's consolidating. So it's no longer in a downtrend. It's now consolidating and it could be pushing back in the other direction. You might be getting a trend change, but you're not sure yet. So let's see what happens. And you'll see pretty quickly what a trend change looks like if it happens here. Oh, it didn't happen. It's still consolidating. There, it went trend change bear. So that was a trend change. It was in a downtrend, then it consolidated, and then it changed into a downtrend again. And it did that by setting another pivot. So it set a low, a high, a higher low, a lower high. So it's consolidating. And then as soon as price moved below this low, that confirmed the trend change. And that's when you would get an alert firing right there that there was a trend change bear. So let's keep going. Hopefully this day was really choppy and we can see all kinds of fun stuff happening. So it's now in a downtrend. It's scouting a lower high. And it might happen on the next candle. Yep, there it found a lower high. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't really trust this trend very much. It's kind of going sideways, right? And so you need to use your logic and reasoning and your skills as a trader to decipher, is this a trade I want to get involved in? And obviously you wouldn't just want to be zoomed in this close on this time frame. You'd want to be zooming out and looking at what's happening on different time frames. And we have an indicator for that called Trend Scout, which you can use to look at the different time frames and figure out what is the most likely scenario for what you're going to do on your trade here in the day. But for now, I just want to show you how Trend Tracker works. So, okay, we're in a downtrend. We're scouting a lower low. Let's see what happens. Okay, it broke that trend. And look, it says trend change bull. As soon as the price went above this pivot, that's when the alert would fire. And so you can imagine that if you're looking at this on the daily time frame, this could get pretty useful pretty quick. If you're trying to figure out, I only trade the daily time frame. I just want to get alerted when prices is affecting a trend change. This will do that for you. We will absolutely be able to fire those alerts for you at the time when you need them to. Okay, so that's how the alerts work. Anytime you see that it's detected, a trend change, it'll fire. Anytime it develops a first pivot, it'll tell you about that, or any other pivot, it can tell you about that too. So you can have it alerting like crazy all the time for all the pivots it finds that are higher lows or lower highs, or you can just look for the first ones. It's kind of up to you which ones you want to be focused on. And also, I'm zoomed in on the 5-minute time frame, and I've spoken about the 5-minute time frame and the daily time frame, but you can use it on any time frame. It doesn't really have any limitation that way. Okay, so that's how all of the alerts work. And honestly, the alerts are fantastic. When I first started using this indicator after having written it, I had it alerting me every time it set a high or low and every time it set a low or high on about 8 names, and it was blowing up all the time, and it was very overwhelming. So you can definitely get into a situation where the alerts are too much for you. I've now got it refined down to a smaller subset that I care about, that I want to pay attention to. And I'm sure that you'll find your level of comfort with it after a while too. But it's pretty fun to play with when you first get it, and have it be, reminding you constantly about what's going on. And then you'll find yourself doing things like, say you want to create an alert. I got to get out of replay mode 1 second. So let's say on Tesla, you want to get alerted anytime there's a first high or low. So you go into here, you select the trend tracker, you say first high or low. That's what you care about. You want to get it once per bar. You want to do it every time it occurs. You want to get it, and you'll notice down here it'll say, when the message comes up, it'll say the name of the ticker. So in this case, Tesla, first high or low detected on the something interval. So they give us limited things we can say on here, but interval just means it would say 5 interval, which would mean the 5-minute time frame. Now you'll find yourself going into notifications and deciding how it notifies you. And you can have it showing a pop-up on the site or not. You can have it notifying you through the app. There's all kinds of weird things, but what I end up messing with the most is I will choose certain sounds that mean certain things to me, or if I really want it to wake me up from whatever I'm doing, I'll have it alerting for 30 seconds on daily breaks, things that really get my attention. So they give you a few different configuration options that you might want to make use of when you're configuring this indicator. But it can get pretty noisy if you have it, for example, notifying on every higher low or lower high. That can get pretty noisy, especially if you're doing it on like the 5-minute time frame. So use it and have fun with it, please. Okay, so next up, just how to configure the indicator in general. So if I'm again going to jump back in time a little bit here and just show you a couple different things about the configuration. So I think by default, I have it set to show trade setups in smart mode, which is where it detects the trend and it'll only show trades in the direction of the trend. This has its downsides too. If you're not in a clear trend, if trend keeps changing, as we saw it did on this day, where it'll be a downtrend and then a trend change and then an uptrend and then a trend change and then a downtrend, it can get pretty confusing and these things will start flipping and flopping quite a bit. So it's useful to know that you can modify that. So let's say, for example, you're only interested in long trades, and so you only want to get in on like the first high or low on the day. One of the things you can do is just choose first high or low, and now it's only going to look for trades that are the first high or low. Now on this day, it's kind of choppy, so you're going to see a few of them. But because it doesn't mean the first high or low on the day, it means the first high or low in the trend. So let me jump back a little bit. So let's go to the open. At this point, it's still basing trades off of time frames within the pre-market, which can get kind of messy. So one of the things you can often do is you can switch to regular trading hours. And that way you're basing the trades that it's showing you off of the prior day instead of things that happen in the pre-market where it can get pretty wild. So here, I'm just going to leave it on extended just so you can see clearly where the day began. And we'll start moving forward here. We'll jump back in time here and we'll try this again. Okay, so stepping through, megaphone trend, no setups yet. And if you remember, I did just set first high or low. So I want to find the first time that trend has moved in the up and gone on an uptrend and set a first high or low. So far, nothing. We're in a megaphone. Okay, we're in a downtrend. And boom, we just found our first high or low. Okay, so if you were interested in getting involved here, your entry point would be here, the high of this candle. Your stop would be the low of that candle. And frankly, if it were me and I was looking at this and I could see that it was chopping around quite a bit, I might even put my stop down below here because I can see it's already showing me a bit of chop. I would also personally want to be looking, out at the other time frames, the days before this, and trying to figure out, what's the thing that makes the most sense in terms of trend and all that. That's not what this video is about, but suffice to say, now you have a confirmed first high or low because it defined this candle as the pivot candle, and then it broke above that low pivot, the high of the low pivot, it broke. So let's see what happens. Uh-oh, not looking good for this trade. And it broke it and stopped you out. Okay, so let's keep going. Say you're still interested in higher lows. Say you personally believe that Tesla's going to go up today. You're only interested in higher lows because that's what you configured it to. You can keep going and wait and see. So now we're still in a downtrend since the break. Oh, we had a trend change bull. We have our first higher low again, and now it looks like price is going up again. So you could have entered a trade here with your stop there, because now it looks like we might actually be coming out of the chop. We did set a higher low. We did break the previous lower high over here. So things are looking bullish. Let's see what happens. Is Tesla going to be nice to us? So also worth noting, right now, we set a higher low, our first one, and we set a second higher low right here. So if we went into the configuration settings and we chose, instead of first higher low, we chose most recent higher low, hit OK, boom. So now it recognized that there's a new one and it shows you where that is. So quite often, as I'm personally trading, I will be set on the most recent higher low or the most recent lower high because Maybe it could be, there's a bunch of reasons why. Maybe I didn't get in on the first high or low and I'm looking for another opportunity to get involved in a trade. Or maybe I did get in on the first high or low, but I'm looking for a place to add because I believe it's going to really go far today. Whatever the reasoning, you have this option that it can always show you the most recent trade opportunity if you like. And so that's an option for you. So let's keep going. Stopped out of that one. Again, not every trade's going to work, but you get the idea. So we can, it looks like this day is not going to be a great day to trade. But the fantastic news is you knew where to put your stop. You did get stopped out and you didn't lose all of this money. You only lost this. So the other thing that's fantastic about this indicator is that it not only shows you where to get involved, but it shows you where to put your stop to the penny, and it shows you what that value is. It shows you by default, when it draws this risk box, it gives you 1, 2, 3 of that to the upside, just to show you if you were going to go for a 3-to-1 ratio, where would price need to get to? And you can look at the price action on the day or on previous days to see, does it make sense? Just as a visual check, does it make sense that price could make it that far? And here I would say it actually does. It absolutely could have gone up and tested the high of day again. So that's something you might want to have in your back pocket when you're looking at these as they appear. Does it look like it can do what it should do if I want to get a 3-to-1 trade? And so, for example, let me just change this back really quick to the first high or low. And it didn't quite get there. It got to 2 of the 3, right? But didn't get to the 3 of the 3. But it definitely gave you enough that you could have gotten risk-free. And so I also want to point out that as it's moving, it's giving you information in these boxes. So let me show you that really quick. I'm going to jump here and just show you. So back here in time, when you had entered here, your stop was here, price is moving up and you're happy because you think you have a trade that's going to win. You can look here and you can see how much percent am I up, right? And you can decide based on this number compared to this number. Like if I got into this trade because I was hoping it was going to go up, but then it slowed down much sooner than I thought it should. Let's say I expected it to just shoot straight back up and it didn't. It slowed down here. I can look right here and I can say, oh, okay, if I sell half right now, then I'm risk-free. I can fully stop out on the balance and I haven't lost any money. So that's something to be thinking about as you're looking at these boxes, trying to figure out what to do once you're in a trade. These are not numbers that are just there for fun. These are things to help you understand what your options are as you're in the trade. So I hope that makes sense. One other setting to show you here is most recent higher low, lower high, or first higher low, lower high. This will actually show you both trades at the same time. So let's do most recent higher low, higher high. And you're going to see 2 boxes drawn on the screen. So I don't do this very often, but it is there in case you want to be, if you want to have the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, you can turn both of them on and you can see how bears are looking at a chart versus how bulls are looking at a chart, and see who's thinking about taking what trades where. This can be something that is valuable to you if you want to be able to look at both sides of the market at the same time. And it allows you to do that for the most recent ones and also for just the first higher lows and lower highs as they appear with trend. You can also just shut it off. If you don't want to be looking at trades right now, you can just shut it off completely. Sometimes you just want to be looking at the trend. And so you don't want to be paying attention to new trades coming up, and that's an option for you. So also now one more thing before we end this, I wanted to talk about the styling and how things appear. So first of all, I tend to style everything in such a way that I have the least number of inputs on the configuration screen as possible. I want to keep it as small and concise and clean as I possibly can so you're not overwhelmed by settings. And so, for example, if you look at these, there's only 3 colors here for the trades. And let me turn them back on really quick. I'll go first higher low. So here the boxes appear back on the screen. So this green color it will color the green box, the green text, this green text, and it'll also color this green label here that tells you whether it's confirmed or not, tells you what type of trade it is and whether it's confirmed or not. That one color is used with transparencies to draw everything you see here. So for example, if I change this to black and get out, you're going to see, yeah, the box changed, these text changed, the label changed, the label background changed. So I didn't want to overwhelm you with what's the color for the label, what's the color for the box, what's the color for the text, what's the color for the label background, what's the color for the foreground, what's the color for the amount of profit that you've had versus the amount of profit that there is potential. I didn't want to do all that. So with one color, I styled all these things with transparencies. And I do the same thing for the stop box and the stop values. So we can make it like blue if we want to. And same thing for this color here is for when the trade is open. It just colors that label a different color. And I don't think we saw on the replay here an instance where that was visible to us. So I'm not going to try to find it right now, but rest assured, this is for, if this says high or low colon open, it'll be that color. Just something different from the red and the green that it has by default so that you can recognize that the trade is not confirmed yet. For all of the other things you see here, so pivot arrows are these triangles that appear above and below the pivots. And the all pivots color is if it's not a pivot of relevance, like if it's a pivot within a trend, but it's not a high or low or a low or high, it gets that treatment. If it is a higher low or a lower high, it'll show you for a higher low, it'll be green, and for a lower high, it'll be red, and you can modify those here. I'll also note that if you turn that off, those pivots don't disappear. They just get the color treatment from the all pivots color. And if you want to get rid of all of them, you just uncheck that. Personally, I just like to see them. They just help me to recognize when something has happened and there's been a pivot defined. And finally, up here we have the trend lines. So these are the pivot lines you see here. You can disable them or change their color. You can hide them, reveal them, change their color, make them whatever color you like. And then trend label has a bunch of different options here. So if it's in an uptrend, it gets the green color here. If it's in a downtrend, it gets this darker green color here. And if it's in neither up or down trend, it gets this blue color here. And the white color here is the color of the text within it. So you could have these as super bright colors and change this to be a dark color, whatever you like. And all of this is described here in the information box. And then finally, label size. Some people like to have bigger words so they can see it better. And last but not least is this offset. So I have an offset. This offset represents the number of candle widths that the label will appear to the right. So I have the profit box drawn in a certain distance off to the right that's fixed. And then I change the label distance variably based on that. So I've chosen a candle distance that sort of keeps it to the right of the prices here. Now it can get squished up. If you squish it in really tight, it can get kind of hard to see stuff. So, it's for you to be able to adjust if it's sticking away too far for you, or you want to have it brought in a little bit. So you could, for example, change this to 4 and you'll see this jump in this way. I'll also point out that for these offsets like that, on weekends and over holidays, TradingView gets kind of weird about what it thinks are legitimate bars or not. And so, for example, on long weekends, I've seen where the offset isn't recognized at all and the label will just sit right up against the side here. That's a known thing, but it doesn't really happen during trading. It only happens on weekends and holidays when TradingView doesn't acknowledge that it's the weekend, it's the holiday, there shouldn't be candles here, therefore it doesn't allow you to put them into the future. Just something that you should be aware of. Okay, and that's hopefully everything you need to know about how to use Trend Tracker. It's changed my life, and I hope it'll change yours.